Hi everyone, Dennis Foley from Acoustic Fields. We're in Nick Norton's drum room now. We just left his control room. Now we're in his drum room. Probably small, 12, 8, something like that, pretty close. So it's, it's a standard too small room for drums, and we know that. So what can we do to make it sound better? Well, we make it smaller. Larger is better, but we can't do that, so we have to make it smaller. We make it smaller by adding more units, so we get the low end under control. Obviously, this bass drum here is our lowest energy producing source, so it's the one that we have to start with first, because it smothers, blurs, everything. So we want to get it as tight as we can. So we brought in a series of our demo carbon units. I don't know, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4,
5
carbon in the diffusers, 5. He's got 6 of them, and we're not really done yet. We're going to move 2 more in. He's real happy with the results so far, and he's going to tell you a little bit about that. But the goal always in room tuning is to over-absorb and then back up. That's how we do room tuning, because you're never going to know if another couple of units would have really made a big difference. These 2 are specifically designed for drums, and Nick's going to tell you about the differences these 2 made. But we did it in series. We first started with a couple. He brought in a couple more, and then a couple more. Just kept adding and spending a week or 2 listening. So this has been going on for a couple months now, this project.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what you heard.
Well, it started off fairly muddy. I tried to get them to sound as good as they could, but it was always just anytime you hit the kick drum, it was just swampy. So
yeah. Swampy, that's a good word.
Well, a lot of people say muddy, but it literally is just
it's worse than muddy. Swampy's worse than muddy. Yeah.
But we started with the 2 big units, and the drums used to be over there facing that way, but we brought them over here. And with the foam, without the foam, I noticed a difference with these, but not a tremendous difference at first with just these. When I got them here, I noticed a difference, at least from the side, the pressure here. And then we dropped the other 2 units in, and then I noticed a fairly big difference. And I experienced experimented with them alongside these, and then just moved them all the way back and ended up with them at the far wall. And then we brought these 2 guys in, and that's where things really changed for me.
Yeah.
Because I could throw them right up in front of the kick drum, and you can hear it now. It's just the attack and decay is right on point.
Right on point. Good, yeah.
So I still can't get huge drum sounds just because the room's not big, but I can get really nice, tight kit sounds. So that's a huge plus for me.
Yeah. And that's part of the tuning process. See, you heard Nick talk about, 2 units, and then they made some difference. And then we added 2 more, and then he really started to notice. And then the 3rd set, he really noticed. And I think there's another 2 units still needed in here, but we'll figure that out, and we'll bring 2 more in and try it and do a follow-up video for you on this. But tuning is a process. You have to have the tools that are predictable and consistent, like we always talk about, but you also have to spend time doing it. You know your room better than I do. You know your room better than anyone does. So spend the time in it, put the tool in it, spend the time, listen to the changes, move the tool around, okay? Like Nick did, he moved his source, his drums, because as you treat the room and as you start minimizing certain low frequency issues, other things that you've never heard before are going to jump out at you. So you have to take it a step at a time. It's a process. It does take time, but with our products, they're consistent and predictable, and they perform really well. So we give you a lot of performance in a small package. They're not light. I know people all the time, Dennis, can you make them lighter? I can't. I wish I could. At least they're on casters and you can move them around. So once you get them in your room, it's not so bad. But obviously the logistics of of getting there is an issue also. And then we've got diffusion on the front wall in front of the kick drum. And what are you trying to do with that? Tell me a little bit about what that does for you.
It just opens up space for me. It got a little too dead for when I brought these two in. It was a little too much, and then I dropped the two. I think they're the ACDA 12s or
These are the 11s.
11s. Yeah. So those guys.
Well, these are the QDA 11s. These have the carbon absorption in them also, and they're based on Prime 11. And then we have a Prime 13 diffuser in the middle, which is okay for a drum room. You can mix up the sequences a little bit in a drum room, not on the rear wall of your control room or listening rooms, though. A lot of people ask that. Try to keep the sequences the same, but in here. So remember, absorption works at your middle and high frequencies too with these diaphragmatic absorbers, especially with the foam we put on the face. We have absorption all the way up to 6,500. So what you were noticing was you're bringing too much foam in.
Yeah.
And the middles and the highs were starting to collapse.
Yeah. And once I dropped those in, it just rounded the entire mid-range out, which was nice.
Yeah.
I think I could use more, even two-dimensional, but I'm going to eventually once I can.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's how it goes. You learn what the tools can do, and then obviously you always think, well, wow, it sounds this good here with these. There is a point of diminishing returns, so you have to be a little bit careful. It's nice to understand how the technology works. It's nice to want to spend money on it and fix your room up, but there are break points where you can be doing too much, spending too much money, and your money, the extra money you have, would be better finding a larger room. But no. But it'd be better finding, down the road a bigger space to get. Now, Nick's happy with his definition in his drum. He's never going to get a big drum sound in a small room. You just can't do it. I don't care what anyone tells you.
Yep.
You just can't do it. You can work with the low end, tighten it up like we did here, put a little air and sparkle back in the middle and high frequencies, the cymbals and china and all that good stuff, the snare. But you're never going to get a big sound. So you settle for definition, good attack and decay rates, and keep your fingers crossed that the microphone cooperates and hears the same thing. Inside our bass drum, we always use blankets and stuff like that, but with our foam strips, Nick's going to pull each one out. You can take a piece of foam and cut it into strips. And here's the beautiful thing about it. You can put one strip in, you can put two strips, whatever the case may be, and then actually tune the drum. Okay.
Is that on it?
That's no foam at all. And we're going to stick in one. So here a little more definition. Subtle, but there. And then two. See, here definition coming right along. Mainly at this point you're controlling the resonances inside the drum, which is good because we know the sound we hear is a combination of the resonance inside the drum and the room. So you're damping the resonance inside the drum, but you're doing it consistently and predictably by adding, the same amount of material each time.
And this is where we ended up.
Okay. There you go. So you can actually control that internal resonance of that cabinet and get some tunable sounds out of the drum. Obviously, the next step is then you pull the head off and listen that way too. So if you wanted a little bit bigger sound. Nick's built a lot of DIY sound absorbing products himself, but he still came to us and he still said, well, I'm still not getting what I really want in there, and that's a common thing with people. They think absorption or building an absorption panel is, it's going to solve some of your issues. And if you believe some of these things that go on in the forums, I could see why people think like that, but it's not true. You have to have rate and level. You have to have the right frequency of absorption, but you, more importantly, have to have the right rate of it. You got to get a lot of it at the low end. You have to do it in the right way, and it's critical. And same with middle and high frequencies. The rate and level is critical. There is no one size fits all. Anything else you'd like to add?
That's it.
Great. Well, thank you very much, and we'll do an update for you on this video when we get a few more units in here.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.